What's going on, guys? Jeff Koga here, and this is a video series of Confessions of a Real Estate Investor, and it has been several weeks since I released the last video. I think it's been over maybe 2 months or so. I do have a logical explanation, even though on my first video series I said that I was going to make multiple videos every single week, so I do apologize since I haven't kept up with it. So I'm going to go back and start making every single week these videos, so that way I can release them to the world. So on top of that, I can go ahead and keep myself accountable, but also at the same time see if anyone who's watching this will see tremendous value on this and hope they apply it in their business. And if they make some good money, I hope the good karma spreads back to us and so forth. But what I've been working on is my big project is our podcast. It's called Real Estate Strategy Lab, or realestatestrategylab.com, and we released it on iTunes almost 2 months ago. It will be actually 2 months at the end of this month, and it has been explosive. Literally now we have over 9,000 downloads on our podcast, and for me to think that folks have listened to me talk about real estate for 9,000 hours is like shocking, but what the podcast is all about is really a niche that we saw a need for, meaning that there's a lot of folks that want to learn the real estate investing business, right? And they're looking at strategies like lease option, wholesaling, rehabbing, buying them at the auction, everything else in between. But the truth of the matter is this, is that there really isn't any new strategies anymore, okay? Keep that in mind. There is no new strategies, okay? Investing in real estate has been around for ages, and especially in the last 5-10 years, all these quote-unquote gurus have came up with all these products, and they have spit it out, rehashed it, respun it, and have been selling them. And if you're on their email list, I'm sure you know about them. If not, then hey, all good. Hey, just listen to what I gotta say, right? But we noticed that a lot of folks are always talking about theories and strategies, versus this business is very easy. This real estate investing business is all about finding the right deals and finding the right capital, regardless if it's your money or someone else's capital. But all of these require what? For you to be able to market, to generate either deals or generate capital partners. But both of them still requires you to market. So Real Estate Strategy Lab is really about real estate professionals on how to generate leads via online. And that's what we talk about 80% of the time, about online lead generation, but also integrating that other 20% is about integration of online with offline stuff that we do. And it's just been a tremendous hit. So we really give you the nuts and bolts stuff on what I'm personally doing in my business. And on top of that, my co-host, Jason Jerzewski, I can't even pronounce his name, Jerzewski is doing. And my background is obviously as a real estate investor developer. His background is mortgages, and him being a real estate agent. So it's kind of a very good mesh and a combination, because you get to see both aspects of a real estate investor's marketing and a real estate agent's marketing. And on top of that, Jason is test driving a lot of the stuff that I'm doing within my business to generate income for him, because he's making a jump from a real estate agent to becoming a real estate investor, and that's what we talk about. So it's been a huge hit. So if you haven't, go to iTunes or go to realestatestrategylab.com and check it out. But one thing that I did definitely want to talk about on this podcast is some shift that's been occurring in the market. And several months ago, I made a video called "A Nest Egg House Flippers versus Professional House Flippers." And when I made that video, I was explaining to folks about the change that's been going on, and why us as rehab flippers, house flippers here in the Los Angeles market, and why we're feeling squeezed because of the new competition entering into the market. Now, when I made that video at that time, I knew about these invisible forces, or these other competition, these other types of buyers that were entering into the Southern California market. I knew that they entered into Riverside. I knew they entered into the San Bernardino area. But for whatever reason, I believe that they wouldn't come to Los Angeles. But lo and behold, finally they have come. And that invisible force, or that particular buyer that's distorting the marketplace has to do with Wall Street. And what I mean by Wall Street is these big hedge funds has now finally have entered into Los Angeles County, and they are buying up a freaking storm. Okay, and these hedge funds are not buying houses to flip, they're buying houses to hold and rent out. And why are they doing this? Well, I made a webinar several weeks ago, and I actually just uploaded it to YouTube explaining why they're doing it. But in a nutshell, what they're doing is they are going to buy them, fix them up, and rent them out and tenant them out. And by them doing that, they're essentially now going to collect income from those rental payments. And when they collect income from the rental payments, this particular fund, right? So that they have 100 properties, 100 rental payments are coming into this particular fund. What their plan is to take those funds and then now securitize them and then sell them, boom, in the secondary market. And that is what they call now is rental-backed security as the new financial vehicle that they're planning to go ahead and produce, which they are going to do. And they have been distorting the market. You know, they have, I can't even explain to you in words what they're doing and some of the things that they're buying, because you know, there's one particular deal that we had that's under contract for like 165 or whatever, and no one in their right mind would buy it, like a house flipper. They will only buy it for like 140, 145 and stuff like that, but we had it under contract at 165 because one of our new guys just tied it up, and luckily enough, we freaking ended up wholesaling it to a hedge fund for like a $15,000 assignment fee, but they were buying them like over 80 cents on a dollar, right? Us house flippers, we can't stay in the market with that. So the point is this, is that understand that if you're in Los Angeles County, is that these hedge funds are coming, and they are going to distort the market. They're going to bid up properties. They have already done it at the trustee step. I know that for a fact, because I've spoken with a couple of the other big court step buyers. We used to buy ourselves, but when we started seeing more competition there, we actually backed out. But I'm hearing that from the trustee buyers and so forth. So you gotta make sure that you adjust with the times, okay? Meaning that either one, what are you gonna do, right? Is if your competition is willing to pay more than what you can offer, either one, you're going to offer more so you can buy the property and get into the deal, right? Or two, you're not going to buy that property in that property location. So either one, you're going to move out of that location, go to a different location to buy a property, or you're going to move up in a higher price point, or you're going to do heavier construction. So luckily for us, we made that strategic move even before I made that video about the Nestec house flippers about a year before that. So we've been doing the heavy construction so that way we can stay ahead of the curve. But now that I'm seeing the hedge funds, it's going to be insane in my opinion. So if you're watching this right now and you want to get started in wholesaling or something like that, then I would highly recommend make sure that you get cash buyers on your list, but that cash buyer focus on the hedge fund, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to get a higher yield on your assignment fee, so that way it can be profitable. Because even with us, our assignment fees were getting squeezed out. Some of the deals that we were doing from like $2 grand, $3 grand, $4 grand, but now because we can wholesale the hedge funds, we're getting back up to 10, 15, 20,000 kind of deals. So that's exciting stuff. But another big part is this, is that focus on being a specialist versus a generalist, right? Become a specialist investor, not a generalist investor, meaning that don't try to do everything, right? From a lease option, buy and hold, rehab, wholesale, that kind of stuff. Don't do it, okay? Stick with one thing and take it to the finish line. Okay, meaning become specialized. So if you're going to do wholesaling, as I've always said in my other videos, focus on one aspect, right? Focus on finding deals. Because in my opinion right now, buyers are a commodity right now. Investors are a commodity. There are so many investors, so many quote-unquote house flippers, is that if you're going to wholesale, you can find them all day long. But the problem is finding deals, because there's a lack of inventory right now. So if you focus on generating leads to find deals that you can tie up, you're going to be that much more successful. So focus on that, and then also at the same time, listening to our podcast. I know I'm saying it again, so that's my shameless plug. But check it out because we give out very, very good stuff. And then on top of that, check out that webinar I just did. It's over 2 hour long, actually, where I break down the whole formula on what's going on, what's happening, and how we can work together and stuff like that. So check it out. It's good stuff. And next week, this weekend, I mean, when it comes up, I actually have some couple of stuff that I'm testing it out in my business, and I'll go ahead and release some of the notes or the clef notes on what's going on. It all has to do with integrating old school marketing tactics, and what I'm using is the fax machine. And what I'm doing is sending out fax blasts to our local area to go ahead and generate leads. So I'll talk about that in our next video. So if you haven't subscribed, leave me a comment on what you think about the hedge funds entering into our local market. And also at the same time, let me know when you check out the Real Estate Strategy Lab on if you like it or not, and make sure you give me 5 stars on that too. So appreciate it. Jeff Koga, Confessions of a Real Estate Investor, and I shall see you this weekend.